Hello, everyone. It is all of us. It's Camille, Mal, and Robert.
Hey.
Hey. Robert, you're waving. That's not good for an audio
This is an
medium.
audio podcast.
Hello.
We just had a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name is Lex, and she's a 911 dispatcher in a major city. And we talked about being a 911 dispatcher during a school shooting. And that's your trigger warning for this conversation. We actually were just going to start off our 6 p.m. episode with this conversation, but we talked a lot more than we planned to do. And so we decided to make this its own companion listen. And so we're kind of Frankensteining this together. But
Yay.
yeah,
The magic of audio editing.
well, we just had a very heavy conversation. There are some tears.
Yeah, from you.
Yes. Yeah, I cried
Shocker.
a couple times.
We need to
Shocker.
preface that this episode is mainly 95% Camille and her friend. Mal and I, we spoke, but we just let the raw emotions speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what to say, so I just sit there.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is
reading
listen.
the fucking room. Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing you can do is to sit and listen. And I think this is probably going to be like the heaviest thing that you've listened to so far on this podcast. I would go so far as to say that maybe you need to pause, maybe you'll need a tissue, maybe hopefully you will feel what Lex and I were trying to convey. I think that if I want anything from this companion conversation, it's to make you feel something and make you want to do something. I also very much, the PITT does a really incredible job of making healthcare workers feel seen and heard, and the forgotten first responders are dispatchers. And like you'll hear in this conversation, Lex talked about being the person to have to hear everything as it happens. And so I wanted to give that a voice. I wanted you to hear from someone that is dear to me who has experienced that. We have this moment at the end of 5 o'clock where you begin to hear ambulances as Dana and Robbie are speaking and as they are finding out about the shooting. And I had a moment of thinking about the people who are clued in before Dana and Robbie. And I wanted to give a voice to those people. So I wanted to have a conversation with Lex. If you think, gee, they're being kind of vague, it's intentional. Trying to keep, things safe and anonymous as much as we can.
Also, promoting the episode. We're not telling you what's in it, so you have to listen.
Ooh, it's a great conversation. There are tears. It was very emotional for me as someone who was on the victim side. And then you also have Lex as someone who was on the other side of the phone in that scenario. And so I thought that was a very valuable moment to share. And so, yeah.
Without further ado, here's that conversation.
We do have a special consult with us. She is here to give some insight into being the very first responder. My friend Lex has been a 911 dispatcher for nearly 4 years now, and I reached out to her because she has had first aid experience regarding dispatch during a mass shooting. And so I wanted to see if she would share her story with us and just kind of give us some insight onto like what those protocols are like and what she experienced and what her colleagues have experienced. So this is my friend Lex. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. You guys make me sound so official, honestly. Like
You are official.
You guys make me sound
you're the
official.
first responder. I was gonna make a joke like, wow, I can't believe Lex invented being a 911 dispatcher.
I just realized why everyone sounds a little quiet to me, and it's because I have an ear infection in one ear.
Dude.
I completely forgot about that because I can only hear things in my right ear right now. I'm like, why the fuck does everyone sound so quiet? Oh yeah, ear infection.
He's over here telling me turn your stuff up, and I'm like, I can't. It's not even my fault.
I can't hear.
It's Robert's
Continuing
fucked up ears. Anyway.
Yeah, continuing the tradition of it's either me or Camille having something wrong with us that week.
There's always
And
something wrong with us.
Oh
My
god.
week, I took my antibiotics. I'm taking my eardrops. Eardrops fucking suck. I hate them, but they help my ear.
So I'm glad we're all giggling because this is gonna be so depressing.
I know,
So-
right?
So just like, okay, so I guess my first like question is like, what are the protocols with 911 when you get reports of like a school shooting or a mass shooting? Like, what do you do?
We sit in our chairs and scream. No, so
And you'd be
when-
valid for that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we would be very valid.
You
No,
mute
so-
yourselves first, right?
So,
oh god.
basically what happened is when all of this happened back in 2023. I'd really only been working with my center for about 2 years, and I was like fresh on the floor. I was completely done with call taking training. I was about to go into dispatch training, which it's a two different type thing when you're going through training doing all this. So I was completely fresh on the floor. I was very new. This was a year after actually it hadn't even been a year yet after Uvalde happened in Texas. And I remember that when that had happened, we had sent care packages and cards and letters and stuff to the dispatchers over there and the officers over there and stuff. But it's kind of like a thing of we have protocols. We have like a whole giant freaking binder on what to do in a term of like a mass casualty incident, but you don't ever think that you're going to use it. It's kind of it's a their thing, but you don't ever think you're going to use it. So I know the day it happened, calls started coming in. I think it was around 10:13. I think that was when the first call came in. Start to finish, it was only about 15 minutes. Start to finish. So it was from when the first call came in to when we dispatched an officer, to when officers made entry to the school, to when officers engaged with the shooter, to when the shooter was down. It was about 15-20 minutes. Our guys did phenomenal. They were awesome. But basically what happens is something comes in like that. The first thing is whether or not it's a real event or not, we act like it's a real event, because swatting is a thing. And if you guys don't know what swatting is, it's where people call in, do fake things, and go from there. We act like it's a real.
Have you had swatting calls?
Oh my God, yes. We have had so many swatting calls, and they increase after school shootings. And it doesn't matter if it happens. It doesn't matter if it happens where you are. So like it doesn't matter if the shooting happened where you are, but if a school shooting happens somewhere, swatting calls usually increase in the area by like at least 5-10%.
And what is the goal of that? Sorry, like
it's a prank.
Yeah. So
just that's
it's like a
prank.
malicious.
Okay.
It's a malicious prank.
People do it. People
gamers.
do it because I don't think they realize the repercussions of what happens when you
people
swat
die.
somebody. Yeah, because the thing is like it. If you don't have if it's not the right situations, I guess you would call it. People can get hurt, and it's because we're sending SWAT team out and we're sending officers out, and they have their weapons drawn and they don't know what they're walking into, and we don't know what they're walking into because we have very limited information. So the calls came in, you treat them as a real call, and I actually was not on shift at the time due to the fact that I had gotten off shift a few hours prior because I had taken some overnight shifts. So I was at home sleeping, and I woke up to a bunch of calls and texts from my friends saying, "Hey, is okay? Billy is my son, and he was at school because somebody had posted in the spouse's page for the army base that was nearby that there was a school shooting. They didn't say where; they just said it was here." But they didn't say it was. They didn't say where it was, and so I woke up in a panic because I'm like, I don't know where the hell my kid is. I don't know what the hell is going on. I finally get pages from my work basically saying, "Hey, we need people to come in." We had new people on the phone, and when I mean new people, I mean these were people that were either still in call taking training, or they had just gotten off the floor, like they had just gotten off of training, and they were like brand new kids. And so first call comes in. You send it up. Usually what happens is we have different protocols. We have a shots fire call, which is, we'll send it up. that only dispatches police. So we have a shots fired call. Usually in the city that Camille and I live in, shots fired happens all the time. People will call all the time, be like, "Hey, I heard gunshots in the area," but nothing ever comes of it because 9 times out of 10, it's either fireworks or nothing's there.
Car
Then you have
backfiring, whatever.
yeah, car backfiring, stuff like that. So, and then you have like the actual shooting call, which is a gunshot. And so you send that up, and that's usually when somebody calls in and says, "Hey, somebody's been shot in the chest," blah, blah, blah. That's when you send police and fire out. And then you have, it's not technically classified as a school shooting. And I'm trying to remember exactly what we classify it as. I think it's just it's either an active shooter or it's an active assailant. I can't remember exactly what word we call it, but that's when we get multiple calls in the same area saying somebody is shooting in this area. And that's usually when we send that up, that's usually when it applies to malls, parks, schools, churches, things with a lot of people involved. So we got it sent up, we got it dispatched. We had
How
an
did you guys
officer.
send it up? As an
So
active assailant
I
or
want to say it
as
got sent. I want to say because it was at a school, it automatically got sent up as an active assailant.
Yeah.
If it's at a school, it automatically gets sent up as that just because it's at a school and you don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So it got sent up as an active assailant. It got sent over to our dispatch, which our dispatch and our call taking were on the same floor at the time because our actual building was being renovated. So we were in our backup building. And so it got sent up. Supervisors got notified. Dispatch got on it, and like I said, from the first call that came in, I think at like 10:13 to by the time the officers made contact with the shooter and took the shooter out, it was about 15 minutes. So what people don't see is they don't see all the hands that are in the pot at this point because you have supervisors who are calling people, our director and stuff like that. You have our dispatchers who are separating radios because the thing is all of our radios are separated into different sections of the city. So you had to separate the radio of that section of the city. You had to separate that from that radio and put all the normal calls in that section and put them on a different radio and then get another dispatcher on that radio so that way that the first dispatcher can just focus on the school. So we had to separate that. We had to get officers en route. We had to get ambulance and fire en route. We had to make sure we were figuring out, okay, so what are the entrances and exits of here? How many officers do we have right now? Where are the officers? How long is it going to take for them to get up there? The officers that breached the building initially, they were already in the area, thankfully, and they got there. They didn't even hesitate. They got in, they cleared the building, they did what they need to do. The body cam footage is actually out, and it's very efficient. They do what they need to do. It's very efficient. Unfortunately, there is some things on there that are pretty graphic, so it's just, it's hard. It's a hard watch.
My
But
friend's body is on that footage.
yeah. So it's a hard watch. And so on the other end of it, you still have the call takers. So you have the dispatcher working with it. Our supervisor is usually working with the dispatcher. Then you have the call taker aspect where we are fielding calls. We are fielding calls from people inside of it. I had a friend who took a call from one of the fathers. I had a friend who took a call from a few of the people that were inside of the school. And the main thing is it's so chaotic and you want to tell them get out, but you can't. The line that saves us, because the thing is if we tell them if you can find a time to run, and they run and they get shot, then that can come back on us because it's like, hey, they got killed because we told them to run. So it's make sure you do what you need to do to stay safe. Do what you feel like you.
Yeah, if I can just share, I lost a friend in this shooting, and I know I texted you that morning.
Yeah.
And my friend had advocated for training for the staff in this kind of a scenario, even though it wasn't budgeted for. And they
it
said
usually isn't.
They said we're going to do it anyway. And I just don't think I'll ever forget that funeral. Her friends got up and there was a lot of laughter, but her friends got up and said, I'm so mad at her because she advocated for us to receive this training to be able to handle these situations. And a majority of people got out. She did not, simply because she went back to try to help the others and to make sure everybody else could get out, and that's why she passed away. And I was thinking about that when you said, you have a guidebook of what you should do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She knew exactly what she should do, and the majority of those people, they were out in record time. I mean, they all made it out of there so quickly. They followed exactly what they were supposed to do, and she went against the training that she advocated for. And that is the reason that we lost her, but we don't hold it against her, you know?
Yeah. It's rough. And
Yeah,
a lot of people, so it's rough because what it's rough for dispatchers because
yeah,
a lot of people, when things like this happen, and this is for, like, the Uvalde shooting, for the shooting that happened in Las Vegas,
yeah,
for um literally any kind of mass casualty incident that has happened.
yeah,
People don't think of people think of, like, the officers and the fire department and the paramedics and the EMTs and stuff who see this in person. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong, seeing this in person is absolutely traumatizing. It sits with you, it does not go away. But the
yeah,
thing is like, we hear everything over the phone.
yeah.
I
You're the
we
ones that are
hear
there in
we
that moment.
hear we hear the gunshots, we
Yeah,
hear the people screaming, we hear someone dying on the phone because of a gunshot. Like, I had
yeah,
somebody who the person had called in, and he managed to get the address. He managed to give the call taker the address and tell him I was shot, and he was shot in the chest. And this is not related to this shooting, but managed to tell him all this, and my friend had to listen to him die on the phone. And so we
Oof.
don't get it's a different type of thing because it's
you
psychologically
never get
proven.
closure.
Well, it's psychologically proven that your brain starts to put in the worst case scenario when it comes to things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Whereas when you're looking at it, it your brain starts your brain can see, like, okay, so this is what's going on, this is what's wrong, da da da.
mhm,
But when you don't see it, your brain starts putting in the worst case scenario,
yeah,
especially when people are, like, when they're in a heightened state of panic, things can get over exaggerated essentially.
yeah,
And so it's made to seem a lot worse than it is. But one of the things that, so all of the call takers, it was, we all came in, we people who weren't on shift that time, including me, came in. We took over for people who needed to go home because obviously, like, you need to go home after that. Like, if you can
yeah,
handle it, you can handle it. That's great, but you need
Yeah.
to go home after that. So we came in, we took over for it. And I think the hardest part for me was not the initial shooting and everything, because obviously I wasn't there for the initial calls and stuff. I just went back and listened to recordings. I think the hardest part for me was the aftermath, because we were getting the information before the news was,
yeah,
because that's how it is. We get the information before anybody else does because our officers are updating us and updating our dispatchers, and we can see the call updating in real time before any kind of media gets it.
yeah,
So we were getting the updates before the news was, and so our supervisors are telling us, "Hey, this is how many people have died. Hey, we're up to this right now. Hey,
mhm,
this is what's going to happen." And it was, for me, it was the onslaught of calls that came afterwards, because in that moment where everything kind of settles, and it's
mhm,
kind of like everybody starts calling, because not because there's a shooting going on, but because they're trying to figure out, where is everybody.
Mhm.
yeah,
Hey, my nephew goes to this school, can you tell me anything? I'm sorry, I can't. Hey,
mhm,
my nephew so and so goes to this school, can you tell me anything? No. Hey, my sister-in-law works here, can you tell me anything? No,
mhm,
unfortunately I can't. But, and then you direct them. Even if you know for a fact what's going on, you can't say anything. I can
yeah,
be looking
Mm.
at the call and it says deceased, deceased, deceased. I could be looking at the call and it can say, like, either the ages or the name, and I can't say anything. I can't give you any of that information. And you got media people calling in who don't use our media line, who try to trick the new call takers to be like, hey, my relative went to this school, can you tell me any information? And it happens, it does sometimes.
mhm,
And I think that's the hardest part for me, because it's like, I have to sit here and I have to be like, no, I can't tell you anything, unfortunately. And people get so frustrated because they're like, well, what the fuck can you do? You can't fucking do anything right.
Mhm.
And it's like, I can't tell you, because why would you want to hear from me that this person is dead? And
and
that
also,
happens
like,
with
I
any.
can't tell you because there's someone behind you in the queue having a heart attack
Yeah. And
that
well,
needs
and that
me to help.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is like, our world didn't just stop because of the
Yeah,
school shooting that day. 911 calls did not stop coming in. because of a school shooting. We had people calling in because there was a fire, and that there was, unfortunately, the city that we live in is huge.
It's
And it's
huge.
huge. And it happened
Yeah.
so early in the morning that a lot of people didn't really know until shortly afterwards.
Mhm.
And so I think the hardest part for me is the calls that came in afterwards from like all the relatives and the friends, and then the fact that like we had to continue to take emergency calls after that didn't have anything to do with it, while also still dealing with the fact that there was this cloud over the center for the next week. Like it was just a cloud. And I remember saying in a debriefing that we were having, I was like, we need more training on this, because even seasoned dispatchers didn't know what the hell to do, because they never encountered it. We never had anything, because it's like we as a society, we're so stuck in a bubble of, oh, it doesn't happen to me until it happens to me. And mind you, again, Uvalde had just happened not even a year before, and it hadn't even reached the full year mark for that one yet. Mass casualty incidents for our center, at least, is anything above 5 patients or more.
Okay.
So that's a mass casualty incident. So a car accident can be considered a mass casualty incident if there's more than 5 patients that are being taken to the hospital emergency and stuff. So again, it varies by center. But our thing is people don't think about the other person on the phone when we're taking the call. And I know it broke my heart, because a lot of my people that I work very closely with, were being torn apart in the media when these calls were released, because we have to have a certain, I guess, emotional
Je ne
stability.
sais quoi.
No, it's more like emotional stability. Like I can take a call where I'm coaching you through CPR on your parent who has obviously passed away. We know that they have passed away, but I'm not going to stop you. I can coach you through a call, and I can be telling you to keep going, and I can be telling you good job, but the thing is, it's like, I'm talking to you like this. I'm talking to you with a very calm voice. I'm talking to you with, because if I'm yelling and I'm screaming and I'm doing this and I'm like, oh my God, like it's not going to help anything.
Yeah.
But these people were getting torn apart in the media because we have to keep a very calm voice.
Like,
And
what do you want them to do? Sob on the phone? Like,
it was why aren't these dispatchers showing emotion? Oh my God, these dispatchers should be fired because there's no sense of urgency, blah, blah, blah. Or why do they keep asking the address over and over again? Update, we don't automatically have your address. And if we do, it's usually off by a few feet. So we want to make sure.
Can you tell us about that? How does that work?
Very complicated GPS. No. So we have these systems where if you call in, and
I feel like we all assume, like, if I'm calling from a cell phone, you know where I am.
Yeah, if you call into 911. Now, our non-emergency lines, forget about it. We're going to need you to verify your address. 911, your cell phone will automatically bounce off cell phone towers. We have these things called Rapid SOS, and it can basically show me where you are. And the issue is sometimes it can be off. So, like, you could be at the Burger King over on Smith Street, and I'm using just vague names. You could be over at the Burger King over on Smith Street, but your Rapid in your location is hitting 3 doors down at the Chinese restaurant over on the corner. So you could be like, well, you know where I'm at and everything. It's like, I know the general location, but I just need to like double check. Like, are you at 243 Smith Street, or are you at 436 Smith Street? Like, which one are you at? And so a lot of the people, when they called in, they were just like, oh, we're at the church, or we're at the school, or whatever. It's like, okay, well, we see the school and the church together, but we need to just verify, especially because we don't want to send our officers to the wrong address, because we had an issue like that 4 or 5 years ago, where before we had Rapid SOS and we had Google and we had all that stuff in our centers, we didn't have any of that. So we're completely reliant on our GPS that sometimes was very faulty. And we sent officers to a wrong location when another mass shooting happened, because we didn't know that a new location had been built previously a few months prior, and it wasn't showing on anything. And again, we didn't have Google, we didn't have Rapid SOS, we didn't have all these things. So that's why we ask, because we don't want to send the officer to the wrong address when we need to get somebody to help. And so a lot of people are like, well, why do they keep asking for the address? Why don't they sound like they're listening? When we're repeating our questions, what's your location? What does the subject look like? What does the subject look like? Do you see any weapons? Do you see how many weapons? We're not asking these for our amusement. We're not asking these. We're asking these so our officers who have already been dispatched know what they're going into. Okay, there is only one subject. They are a white male. They are carrying 2 guns. They do have this. This is where they're located. Where did you last see them? like stuff like that, because we need to know exactly what everything is. And my friends were being torn apart in the media because they were doing their job. They were asking the questions. They were trying to keep people calm. They were trying to get the information. And we listen to a lot of background noise, things that happen in the background that you're not telling us about. Okay, so call taker can hear multiple gunshots happening in the background. Sounds extremely close. Call taker can hear, I remember we had one where it's like call taker can hear a train, because we couldn't find where somebody was, and like the thing was weird. And so call taker can hear a train in the background. Sounds possibly close to train tracks. And then so it's like we'd narrow it down to like that area, and then we'd find out, okay, here are the train tracks, so here's where we can send them and stuff. Call taker can hear a man whispering in the background, if you don't hang up that damn phone, I'm going to kill you. Meanwhile, the lady is on the phone, oh yeah, everything is fine, like don't send an officer out. So we listen to a lot of the background noise, but it's just it's terrifying because you don't, like I said, we live in a society of we don't think it's going to happen to us until it happens to us. And
I think I literally had that moment when I read my friend's name in a headline where I was like,
because you
no,
don't,
no, no.
you
I was
don't.
like, no, 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 no. It's spelled different. Like, it's spelled different. It's not. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then I was
it's
like, it's not spelled different. Oh my God, that's her name.
Yeah. And it's just you don't think it's going to happen until it happens to us. And it's the aftermath and it's the repercussions. And I know that we had a lot of people who had to deal with the fact of, you know, they had to listen to those calls, and there's not a lot of help for us out there. We have counseling and free support systems and stuff. And it's like, now we have our peer support and we have our mental health stuff and everything and stuff. But a lot of people kind of just focus on the officers and the paramedics and the fire department and stuff, which is completely understandable. But we kind
But
of,
you're the forgotten first responders.
yeah, we kind of forget about the people who have to sit there and listen to everything firsthand. And that's just one of the things that it kind of breaks my heart with working this job. I love this job. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change working for this job for the world. I am so glad that I became a 911 dispatcher. But the issue is when it comes to things like mass casualty incidences or people calling in about their parents who, like, I remember I got a call where she hadn't heard from her nephew in like a few days. She goes to the hotel that he was staying at, and he was deceased, and he had overdosed. And that's a huge thing for me because my mom was a drug addict before she had passed away. And so I remember I was on the phone with her. If you listen to the call, I'm very calm. I'm like, hey, you know, everything is okay, like all this stuff or whatever. But if you saw me in person, I was crying. Like, I'm just sobbing. And my trainer was like, do you need a minute? And I was like, yeah, I need a minute and everything. And, you know, I took 5 minutes, and then I got back on the phone call, and it was one more thing after another.
I think you told me once that, like, one of the worst things is when someone gets a call and you realize that, like, nobody had been checking up on someone, and it's been, like, a long time.
Yeah, we get calls like that where people are like, hey, I haven't heard from this person in forever. And you're like,
my neighbor's got newspapers piling up.
yeah, like, and it's like, a lot of the time it's nothing. A lot of the time it's nothing. They're out of town. It's something else was going on or whatever. But sometimes it's like, it's very much like there are signs. And this is something you can always like bleep out and everything. There are signs where it's like we'll be sitting on the floor and we'll look at each other and we'll be like, yeah, no, this person's probably deceased. But it's like we don't ever say that. We don't ever like say anything. Like
Can you share what some of those signs are? You don't have to.
I mean, honestly, it just varies. It really just varies. We had one where they realized that they hadn't seen this person in a minute. It was just kind of like the regular things. Newspapers were piling up. The yard looked a little more shabby than usual and stuff. Like they were like, well, you know, like maybe not. And it's like I'd ask, well, like, do you know if they had like gone in or out, like when you weren't paying attention? Well, no, because usually we're moving around the same time and stuff. And so we sent officers out there, and the issue is with welfare checks, we can't have an officer
You
enter
can't
a
go
domain.
in.
Yeah, we can't have an officer enter a domain unless there's a reason. So if they say, hey, I think it's a medical reason, we can send FD out, and FD can have an officer break the door down at that point. But we can't just send a welfare check out and just have an officer. Like, if the officer knocks on the door and nobody answers, that's on them. Like, they went out there, they checked, they whatever, they left, they come back.
It's kind of
so.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject, and that it's not. I can't think of a better word. I don't want to say the word good, but it's kind of informative to know because my father passed away a couple of years back, and we found out because my father was a very social man, so going a day without hearing from him was weird.
Yeah.
And
And
the police, we sent them to do a wellness check, and now knowing sort of what the next logical step was, he didn't answer the door when they knocked, so they had to call someone else.
Mhm.
yeah, so what we do is we'll do the welfare check. The officer will go out. They'll be like, okay, nobody answered the door. Now, say the officer goes out and they smell like, obvious stages of decomp, or they see like,
Flies on the window.
yeah, and I read this story about where somebody had called the apartment complex multiple times, and they finally called the police officer. They finally called the
Mhm.
police out, and the police only entered the domain because there were flies in the window, like
Mhm.
like a lot of flies in the window, and
Mhm.
they found the person deceased inside, and that wasn't here. It was somewhere else. I think it was like Chicago or something. But yeah, no. So it's just like obvious signs. They'll obviously try to enter, but usually 9 times out of 10, they'll knock on the door. They'll check the windows. They'll see it like or if like they look inside the windows and they can see like somebody is like laying on the floor in distress, then they're gonna go in. But if they
Mhm.
check the windows and they don't see anything out of place, or like nothing is really looks out of place and there's really nothing there. So what I try to do is like if they truly feel something is wrong, I always go, do they have any medical issues?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, well, do you feel like they need an ambulance? And it's like I can't say like, hey,
You're
choose an
trying to get them
ambulance.
to request
But
fire.
I'll be like, hey, if you do this, then maybe,
Mm.
because then it's like, hey, if we got a medical issue, like if they say, yeah, no, they're diabetic, we can get an
I'ma
ambulance
kick
out
the
there.
door in.
Well, and
Mm.
it also depends too, because it's
Mm.
like it's a whole bunch of moving parts that you
Mhm.
can never predict.
Which
But
is why it's so like, oh my god, we have these guides of like what we should be doing and what we should
mhm.
do in these situations, but then you get into these situations and it's like, fuck it.
Well, and it's like ultimately too, it comes down to the sergeants, the police sergeants
Mm.
too, because if
Mm.
we get say somebody calls in, they're like, hey, I want to call in a noise complaint, but I don't want to talk to an officer. I just want you to go out there and tell them to shut up. If it's a busy area, like south,
Mm.
for example,
Mhm.
if it's a busy
Mhm.
area, the sergeant could easily be like, go ahead and just bolo it, which
Mm.
is just be on the lookout, and we'll close
So
it out and move
boloing
on.
like like a noise complaint would just be like, "Hey, if we get another call, like
No,
we're gonna just."
it's basically we read it over the air, so we'll be like, "Hey, we got a noise complaint out at 123 Freedom Street.
Mm.
They don't want to talk to officer. They just say that their neighbors are bumping really loud music." And
Mm.
the sergeant will be like, "Okay, go ahead and bolo it." So I'll mark it as boloed because I read it over the air, and we move
Mm.
on. We move on with our lives. We don't send an officer out there.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
if the person calls back, we usually try to be like, and they're like, we usually try to be like, well, what exactly is going on? Like, is it just music? Do you
Mm.
want to talk to an officer? Like, we
Is
always
it
ask,
people
do you want
screaming at
to
each
talk to an
other? Is it
officer?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So because it depends. Because if they call back and they're like, well, now they're bumping loud music, but now they're having a brawl out in the parking lot and everything and stuff. And
Mm.
so it's like, okay, well, that turned into a fight. And so then we
Yeah.
have to send it up. But like, it honestly comes down to the sergeant. So it's like, if you get a call where it's like somebody's like, oh, that this whole list of things that could possibly mean somebody might be dead inside the house.
Mm.
If the sergeant goes, okay, well, we'll still send it up as a welfare check and go, then it's up to the sergeant, because it's like
Right.
at that point it's out of our hands.
Mm.
But when it comes to mass casualty incidences, especially, our officers and our dispatchers do work hand in hand, because they have to, because our
Yeah.
dispatchers have to be able to write everything. That's another thing. It's like we have to write everything down. If
Mhm.
you ever look, we have this system called CAD, and it's computer automated dispatch,
Mhm.
and it's how all of our calls go in. It's how all of our calls are written. You can pull the records. It'll show the address and all the information, and then it'll have
Mm.
like all the comments and everything. And so when officers are out there or out on a scene or something, they'll be updating. Okay, well, here is the license plate for the car, and we have to type that in. Here's the subject, we have to type that in. Here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that.
Mm.
And it's like we have to type in everything and make sure that everything is updated. And so we have to have that cohesive relationship with each other. But at the end of the day, ultimately it's our officers and their sergeants. It's their call. We
Mhm.
can be like, hey, we really feel like you guys need to go check this out, but it's not up to
Yeah.
us, because it's not our policy and procedures. Our policy and
Mhm.
procedures are completely different from the police departments.
Right.
So we just
Right.
cover all the way up until we dispatch the call out to you, and then we go
Right.
from there.
What do you well, Robert, Mal, do you guys have any questions at all?
No, I think that we covered the majority of them.
Mal?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just like thinking about the horrors of the job that you have, and I'm just in awe. But
we
that's
we have good moments too. We have good moments too. We have like,
Mhm.
we So we have these things called baby pins. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys little happy things. We have
Okay.
these things called baby pins. Okay. So if you manage to coach somebody through giving birth, and that means that baby is like out in the
Yay.
mom's arms before FD gets there, you get a baby pin. And it's really cool. And I have not gotten a baby pin. I was so close to getting a baby pin one time.
That was going
like,
to be my first question. I was going to be like, do you have a baby pin?
Literally, I was so close. I was so close to getting a baby pin one time. And I was so excited. Like she literally the sister could see the head. Like
Oh,
she's like,
crowning.
"Oh my god, the head's coming." And I was like, "Okay, the baby's crowning. Just keep pushing, keep pushing." And like all of a sudden I hear the fire department. And I was like, it took everything for me not to yell on the phone, "Get outside, please." There's one story of somebody in the dispatch center where the couple had to pull over on the side of the road in a strip club parking lot because the baby was coming, and so the dispatcher had to coach the person through giving labor in a strip club parking lot. So that was interesting. Yeah,
That
So-
child's 2 truths and a lie will go crazy for the rest of their life.
and I was born in a strip club parking lot.
As one is born.
I feel like the father is supposed to take the baby in that scenario and be like, nah, it's a vinya.
I think for me, I'm 33 years old. I have been through so many school shootings, like not personally, but like so many school
Mhm.
shootings have happened in my lifetime
Yeah.
that it's gotten to the point where it's like I don't want to say I'm desensitized to it, but I was
Mhm.
definitely to a point where it wasn't
Which
at the
school is
forefront.
next?
Well, it wasn't at the forefront of my mind until I had kids. And the morning of the shooting, when I was getting text messages from people basically being like, "Where's okay?" and everything, like the first thing that popped in my head was, "Is my kid in danger right now?"
Mm.
And then the second thing that popped into my head when I found out it wasn't his school was, "Thank God it's not his school." And then I felt like an immediate wave of like just guilt because I was like,
Yeah.
if it's not his school, that means it's somebody else's school and it's somebody else's kids. And when that happened, we hadn't gotten any information of any casualties yet. Like by the time I got to work, that's when we had gotten most of the casualty information and stuff. And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, the news hasn't reported on it. The news hasn't said that there's any casualties. We don't know for sure yet. So maybe nobody's died except for the shooter. And so when I got to work and I found out, 3 kids had been killed, I remember just thinking like I just felt so guilty because I was like, fuck. Like
That's 3 mama's babies.
yeah, that's 3 moms who kissed their kids goodbye and everything to go to school this morning, and now they're not going to get them back. And it's just like I felt that immediate guilt because I was like, it wasn't my kid.
Right.
It wasn't my kid. And that's something that
Survivor's guilt is so visceral in so many different ways.
Well, and it's like, and the thing is like it affected me so much afterwards, and I never understood why. And I sat down with one of my supervisors, and I told her, I was like, I don't understand why I'm so fucked up about this, because again, I've seen so many school shootings in my lifetime. And I was like, I don't understand why I'm so fucked up about this and everything. And she basically told me, she was like, because you had to handle the aftermath. Because I told her, I was like, I wasn't involved in the actual thing. I was not involved in everything that happened. I was just, I handled the aftermath. And she's like, that's why. It's because you handled the aftermath. You handled all those calls that came in afterwards. You handled all those worried relatives that came in afterwards. You have kids that are the same age as the kids who passed away and stuff. And so she was like, it's this whole thing of you weren't involved, but you were involved, and it's a ripple effect.
You fit the it's not like trying to put a square into a circle. You're a circle, it's a circle, and you fit. And that's the thing that just like, I think that's the part that you're just like,
exactly.
oh my God, I'm a circle. That was a circle.
Yeah. It's the ripple effect. That's what I like to call it. And it's something that me and my friend had touched on our true crime podcast. It's a ripple effect. It doesn't just stop at the incident. It ripples out to everybody out there. So it ripples out to the first responders who had to respond to the scene. It ripples out to the family and the parents of the children and the other people who have passed away and stuff. It ripples out to the family of the assailant. And because that's something that you don't think about, is like it ripples out to the family of the assailant and everything, and like how they're feeling at this point, because it's like they're having to grapple with the fact that this person that they grew up with, that they raised, is now seen as this giant villain in
And
the
then
eyes
they
of,
are.
and then they're villainized as well.
And they didn't, yeah.
Like a good example of it would be Columbine shooting.
Mm.
Sue Keebold, I
We
believe it was.
Klebold, yeah, we've talked
Yeah,
about her before
yeah.
on
So
the show.
Sue does TED Talks, and if you guys
Yep.
have never like actually watched her TED Talks, they're
Yeah.
so fucking inspiring and they're so powerful, and I absolutely love this woman to death. But she talks a lot about the fact of how she was looked at
What
like
did
a
you do?
villain. Yeah, like, "Why
Mm,
didn't you raise your boy better?" And
mm,
she didn't know. She didn't
mhm,
know. She didn't know he was gonna be like this. So
mhm.
it's a ripple effect, and that's something that, like, my supervisor had explained to me and stuff. And so this is it's very much whenever mass casualty events like this happen, it's normal for people to have these types of feelings. Like, I knew people who were involved in the Las Vegas shooting. Like, I knew people who
Well,
were involved in
so
it. And
Lex,
so
you haven't watched The Pit.
no,
This
everything, unfortunately, because of my job and because of how busy I am, everything I have watched about the pit has been TikTok videos and things that
so
Cammy sends me.
so things so I think a lot of us, as we were watching this mass casualty on The Pit, were kind of reminded of Vegas, because
Yeah,
the idea is, it's a music festival,
yeah,
and suddenly there's an active shooter with an AR-15.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, so I think it really struck a lot of us. We were all kind of like, is this supposed to kind of be like Vegas? And again, this is one of those things. It's like it's on camera. They were at a concert. They were
mhm.
filming it. Fans were filming it, and then of course, just not even just gunshot wounds. You've got trampling. You've got asthma attacks. You've got
You've got the
Mhm.
ripple
blunt
effect of
trauma.
all the
You've
injuries
got
that happened afterwards.
yeah, yeah,
And that's it's insane. It is insane, and it's unfortunately a sad reality of the world that we live in nowadays.
yeah.
Um especially because we just had, I think I looked at something and it said like we had like 40 something school shootings have happened since the beginning of the year.
Mm.
And
Yeah, we just
so
had
it's
another one, what, 3 weeks ago that
yeah,
made
we
the
had that.
news.
Yeah, we had that one, and then
Colorado.
we yep. Yeah. So we had that one, and
Colorado
then we had the one before, and then
Annunciation?
yeah.
That one was in Minnesota, the
Mhm.
Annunciation
The
Catholic School.
Annunciation one, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so there was that one, and then I think 2 weeks later it was Colorado's.
Mhm.
But that's the point. It's like it's just it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And
Mhm.
so you you don't think about it until you have to think about it.
Yeah.
And there's still times where I'll pass by the school, like
Mhm.
I'll like come and visit the city and stuff because I don't live
Mhm.
in the city that I work in. I
Right.
live about 40 minutes away, and so I'll come and visit the city that I'm working in, and I'll pass by the school and I'll stop and like I'll think about it. And I remember going there after the shooting. I had like I bake a lot when I'm stressed out, and so I I bake a lot when I'm stressed out. So I baked a lot after the shooting, and I ended up taking a whole bunch of cookies and cupcakes and just like bars to the fire station that was right next to the school that responded.
Mm,
And then we also took a whole bunch of stuff to the police department that had responded as well, that were the main ones to respond.
mm.
And I remember I went I went to both these places, and then I stopped and I got some flowers and stuff, and I went to, because at both ends of
There are
the
sunflowers really close.
yeah,
There's a sunflower patch really
there
close
were
by.
I got some at a forest. I just randomly picked some up, but like there were, because at both ends of the church there's two entrances to the school and the church, and so at both ends there were memorials for the kids and for the
Mhm.
adults that passed away. And I remember just standing there, and I remember just looking at it, and it kind of, it, like I said, it shakes you because you don't know these kids.
Mhm.
I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know any of the kids. I didn't know any of the adults. I knew nothing about them until everything had happened. And if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't know anything about them at all. But it's like I kept looking at the kids and I kept seeing my own.
Right.
And that
I
was the thing.
have this, like, every time I pass by the church, I just have, like, this, I love to go on drives, and unfortunately, the route that I've taken for over a decade when I go on my drives passes by. And when I drive by, I just have like this visceral, I just like, I don't know that you can describe it, because I just like, it doesn't make sense. I want to like park my car and just get out and just like kiss the ground. You just have like this visceral, like, I just want to like leave love here. I just want to like bless this. It's so precious. And I think that it's just so it's so I'm so disappointed that it continues to happen, that we're not doing more.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of us who dedicate so much time to trying to do more, to trying to change this. And there are people who don't get it until they do, but then
Yeah.
either you come out and you get it for everyone, or you come out and go, "Ugh, this affected me, but it's just a personal tragedy." And I'm like, "It's not, I mean, it is a personal tragedy, but it's also a tragedy that, like, way too many people have experienced, and it has to stop."
I mean, the kids from Sandy Hook graduated like 2 years ago, I think it was.
We just passed an anniversary, didn't we?
Like, the
Just, like,
kids
within the past week or
from
so.
Sandy Hook, okay?
Mm-hmm.
These fucking
Yeah.
kindergartners and first graders graduated.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember the
They
news.
went through 12 years of fucking school. 12. And some of them have been through another school shooting.
Yep.
Some of them have been through another mass casualty, and I'm
Yep.
sitting here and it blows my fucking mind.
The most cynical parts of me are like the gun control debate in this country ended when we let Sandy Hook happen and
Oh, yeah.
changed nothing. When
Oh,
we
yeah.
decided it was okay for these tiny babies to be shot and killed at school, like, that was it. There was never going to be arguments that got to anyone. And it's frustrating and devastating that it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think that we all have, I mean, especially after losing someone, I think I watched a documentary on Parkland,
Mm.
and the parents of a victim were speaking. And I think it was, I don't know if I watched it after or before, but I remember how we can be so separated, but then we have these moments where we identify and you fall to pieces. And I wish more people had those moments, because I think that things would change if more people would have those moments. But I remember a book series that's very, very precious to myself and to Mal and to Robert. And the
Hmm.
parents of a victim were sitting there, and they said that the child's favorite quote was something about, "I'm making my own path." And it was from one of those books. And it's so raw to realize that these people were real
Mm-hmm.
and that they existed, and they read the same books that you did, and they listened to the same music, and they loved their moms and their dads, and they, it's so, I don't know, I hope I don't come across as like preachy, I just, there's something, obviously you never wish like something like this on someone ever, 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 but I wish somehow I could make them understand so that they would do something.
Mm-hmm.
Because why the hell aren't people doing anything? And I will say, we're not gonna, obviously we're not gonna say anything about what has happened recently. We're gonna just leave that. But I will say that a lot of people recently, very recently, have seen certain footage. And I think recently on my feed, I've seen a lot of photos from like Uvalde,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the aftermath.
Yeah.
And just that, like, reframe and understand that what you just saw, that you wish you hadn't seen, is happening to babies. So,
Every time I see those photos of the classrooms from Uvalde, I have to like get off social media because it's just so hard to look at.
For the longest time, I thought something was wrong with me because since starting this job, I've gotten, I wouldn't say jaded,
mm,
but I've definitely gotten a lot better at, I guess, compartmentalizing things.
mhm,
So it's like I can look
Mhm.
at that kind of stuff, and
mhm,
I can look at that kind of stuff, and it's like I see it and I register it, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's terrible, and it's like I fucking hate it. But also at the
Mhm.
same time, like, Cammie's over here, she's very emotional, and that's perfectly natural response. But then you got
mhm,
me talking about it and everything, and I'm very clinical, and it's
mm,
like I know somebody's gonna be like, well, she just doesn't seem like she feels. No, I feel very deeply. It's just
Mhm.
unfortunately with this job, especially, there's a certain way we have to be,
yeah.
and
And I think that we give you guys a lot of shit, but also I just want to like speak for the general public, is that we appreciate that you guys keep your shit together.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
what
'cause
we
yeah.
need.
if we freak out, everybody's freaking out. Like if
Yeah.
we're freaking out on the
As the
phone,
mom
like
friend, like, trust
Yeah.
me, I'm like, we appreciate that you keep your
if
shit
we're
together.
freaking the hell out, then
It
something's
doesn't
really
help
wrong.
anybody.
Well, yeah, I
Well-
mean, like, God forbid I'm ever in that situation. If I'm freaking out on the phone and the person I'm talking to is like, okay, so where are you? Like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm like, okay, I need you to not be freaking out because I'm freaking out.
Click.
And like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Ugh.
I guess my final question is, what do you want people to know about 911? What do you want our listeners to know about 911?
Your worst day is our everyday. Like that's something that people need to understand is your worst day is our everyday. When you call in and you tell us like, "Hey, I just saw this person get thrown off a motorcycle and
Mm.
get run over." That is your worst day because you just witnessed something that's absolutely terrifying. And that's our worst day too with you. But then we hang up with that call and then we have to handle a house fire that just happened. And then we hang up with that call and then we have to handle a noise complaint that came in
Mhm.
and stuff. And so your worst day is our everyday. And I'm not saying that to make people feel bad. I'm not saying that to tell people like, hey, like, don't call it. I'm saying that as like we are very much human beings on the other end of that phone.
Mhm.
And we care and we love and we feel as deeply as you do.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure that yes, you get the help you need, but we're doing the best that we can with what we have, essentially.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
especially with understaffing, like we are so understaffed. And when I mean we're understaffed, I mean, for example, 540 square miles, that's what we cover. Okay. It's a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Our city does not have split
It's just Metro.
well, our city does not have split sections. So basically,
Mhm.
usually sheriff's department handles anything after the county line. We
Mm-hmm.
don't. Our police department completely handles both county and city. Sheriff
Mm.
only handles jails. So we're very stretched thin. We have little resources. 540 square miles, 3 people on the phone some nights.
Mhm.
3 taking 911 calls because the rest of us are dispatch trained and we're having to cover radios and fire. That
Mhm.
means back to back to back to back to back to back calls.
Mhm.
So your worst day is our everyday and we are doing the best that we can. We want to help you, but we are very much a human on the other end of the phone.
Mhm. What
Though some of the names I've been called have been very, very
creative?
creative, yeah.
Please tell us. Give us one example.
You
What's the
cannot
best?
bleep this one out. But he called me a
Okay,
But
okay,
yeah, so
okay.
that's what I've been called. So I've been called some very interesting things on the phone, but at the end of the day, we are still human, and we definitely it's a hard job.
If you have like if our listenership has never called 911 and somehow magically they remember your voice and they have a moment where they're like, I have to call 911, what are the things that you want them to hear your voice saying, I need you to know this, this, and this? What are those things?
Remember where you are. If you don't know where you are, pull up your Google Maps.
Mhm.
That is one thing that a lot of people forget about. Pull up your Google Maps. If you're like, I don't know where I'm at, take your phone out, pull your Google Maps up, zoom in on the street. It'll tell you the street, it'll tell you the closest street. Know where you are. Know if it's something that's involving somebody else, give us a description. So black, white, Hispanic, Asian. We're not asking these to profile. We are asking these because we need to separate you from the thousands of other people that are usually on the street. Know, yeah, where you are, subject description, vehicle description if there's a vehicle involved, and whether or not you're able to wait in and whether or not there's weapons and you can wait in a safe place. Like it's just the basic questions that we ask you are usually the ones that we really need. We're not
I think
asking
in
them.
media we hear a lot like 911, what's your emergency? Is that what you say? Or do you say
No,
what's the location?
we say what's the location because the
Mhm.
first and foremost we need to know where you are.
Yeah.
Because if your
I'm
phone
like, you can
disconnects,
tell me what's going on as I'm rolling to get to you.
yeah, if your phone
But
disconnects, if we at least know where your location is, we can send up
Mhm.
some kind of call. But if we don't know your location, then we can't help you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to use our platform to share?
No, not that I could think of.
I
None that wouldn't get me in trouble with work, at least.
I think that I am so so grateful for people like you. Clearly, like, I cry just thinking about it. I'm not the kind of person who could handle that kind of a job. And so I'm glad that there are people like you. Even just down to the minutia of, like, you do have a good voice. Just a good voice on the phone. You
Yeah.
have a good, steady voice.
You do have a very nice voice.
Thank you.
I
have
said about podcasting? Just wondering.
well,
She
no,
does.
no, I do have a very low voice and stuff, and it helps when talking to people because, you know, it's proven fact lower voices actually are able to soothe a little bit more. It's kind of like that whole brain chemistry thing and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's like I normally hate my voice, so when people are like, "You have a very good voice for this," I'm like,
You have
"Oh,
a great
thanks."
voice. You do. You really have a great voice. But I'm so grateful for people like you, even in just like, I mean, I know you as a friend. You and I have gone, we've talked about so much stuff, and we met online, and then we were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we're in the same city.
I know you said something, and I was like, "Hold the
I
fuck
was
up,"
because I was at a bar, and you were like,
Oh, yeah.
wait a minute,
I was
what?
like, "I know that bar."
You were like, wait a second. And so to go from that to sharing this like very deep trauma with you has been incredibly interesting.
Trauma bonding for the win.
Yes.
Drama.
But just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being one of those voices to walk people through. I think I can't imagine being in a job like you where you don't have eyes, you don't have hands, and you can't do anything but ask someone else,
Yeah, and I think that's
to
the hardest part,
coordinate.
especially
Yeah.
when I'm trying to do like CPR or something like that. Like,
Uh-huh.
'cause it's like I gotta walk you through it, and it's like, baby, I would love to be able to take over and do it for you, but unfortunately, I need you to do it yourself, and I need you to I need you to do this for me. And I've had to like tell people that, like, where they'd be like, I can't do it, I can't do it. I'd be like, yes, you can.
But
Yes,
you
you can.
have to. Yeah.
Yes, you can. Like we don't say have to because we don't want them to feel like they have to do anything, and that's just how it is. But it's like I've had to talk to people where they're like, I can't do it, I can't do it. I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're gonna listen to me. We're gonna do this. Yes, you can.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, it's a hard job, but
Okay, well, I lied. One more fun question. Do you go with staying alive for CPR, or do you adjust per person?
So we actually because it's like we'll sit there. It's like because it's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. And so like our coworkers will be like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Like we're trying to like keep the beat any way possible and everything because
They're
it's like
twerking, y'all. You can't
it's
see
like
her.
we gotta. No, we're not twerking. We're not twerking. But no, we're trying to keep the beat any way possible. So it's like I know when some people are doing it, you'll hear like coworkers be like, yeah, 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 yeah. Trying to like help you keep the beat sometimes because it's like, especially when you're waiting for an ambulance and you don't realize how long it takes for an ambulance to get there until you're doing CPR and you're having to repeatedly do 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and we know when you're not doing it. 1 2 3, like you don't know how long it takes until that happens and stuff. And then so sometimes you do get tripped up, and so like coworkers will be like tapping on the desks and like trying to like keep a beat for you and stuff.
So they're like on their own calls, but they're hearing you because they're also
Yeah.
trained to listen to background noise, and they're like, you're losing the beat, so I'm gonna help you while I'm doing my thing.
And
That's
I've done it a
crazy.
few times. I've done it a few times where it's like I'll just be sitting at my desk and I'll like I'll like on my radio and I'll hear somebody doing a call and we'll be like and stuff.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
so it's we don't ever think of the songs until afterwards, but
then you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, we could have sung that.
We could have been jamming.
We could have been singing Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar.
Is that a song is that the right
I
beat
think
per minute?
So. I'm pretty sure it is.
I know
This is
the Taylor Swift
what it
song.
sounds like. This is what it sounds like by Huntrix. It's actually one too.
Good.
From K-pop Demon Hunters. So just so you know.
Okay. Is there
Incredible.
okay, give me a Taylor Swift song that's
Oh dude, I don't know.
Oh fuck. I'm searching Taylor Swift CPR. The Man.
Oh
Isn't
yeah.
That makes sense.
Isn't that song about sucking dick also like a CPR
Nope.
song?
What? I thought you were saying The Man by Taylor Swift was about that. I was like, that's not.
No. something CPR. I forget what it's called. Hold on. What the fuck is this song called?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's a TikTok song. No fucking wonder you guys don't know what it is. I'm on levels of TikTok you can't comprehend.
Well, Lex, I love you. Thank you
I
so
love you
much
too.
for sitting with us, because
Yeah,
that
she
I
messaged
think
me. She messaged me earlier today, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay."
I was like, hey, you want to talk about like one of the most depressing moments that we've ever shared? Thank you, Lex,
You're welcome.
so much. I
Thank you for
really
having
appreciate
me.
you for, sitting and talking with us about
Yeah.
horrible things.
Coming and hanging with us for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm about to go eat some fried chicken, and
Please do. I
yeah.
want some.
But you
Mwah.
guys,
Thank you.
bye.
The PITT CREW podcast is created and produced by us, Robert, Mal, and Camille. It's edited by me, Robert.
Except for this one. This one was edited by me.
You can find us on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram at PITT CREW Podcast. If you'd like to support our other projects, our socials are linked in the show notes below. Our art is by Rampacoca. He can be found on Instagram at Rampacoca. All patient questions and concerns can be emailed to pitcrewpodcast@gmail.com. Now, this isn't a Taco Bell, but we do appreciate a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to schedule a follow-up appointment with a nurse before you go. See you next time.